NASA returns to the moon, NASA payloads are on course for the moon as the commercial company Intuitive Machines makes their attempt at the first American lunar touchdown in more than 50 years. The mission, dubbed IM-1, will be attempting to send the 675-kilogram Odysseus lander into space on board a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket during a 3-day window starting on February 14th at 12:57 a.m. Eastern and ending on the 16th.
America are on their way to the moon. A private company, strangely enough funded by NASA, is a lunar rover on top of the SpaceX rocket that's currently hurtling towards the moon. What a silly, desperate charade.
One mission launched on SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. Flight controllers on our red, white, and blue teams have been learning more about the lander and how to efficiently fly the mission to return the United States to the surface of the moon.
You would have thought NASA, who've supposedly been to the moon and are funding this so-called private company, would have given them some hints and tips regarding their previous so-called visits. But no, it's just a regurgitated charade, a pathetic one, where NASA supply the data to the company that they're funding that's supposedly private. They also supply the imagery.
That blonde smoking killer coming heavy. Can't you bust to see I'm done with these bitches? Fuck them, I don't have no sympathy. Now get back on your feet, your days outnumbered. Can't you see? Just hear the words that I will speak. It slowly takes a hold of me, my friends.
These boys in the control room, who look incredibly bored looking at these numbers, but are being paid handsome, therefore won't question any of it. And of course will think they've landed on the moon or whatever. And this is how this silly charade works. Just naive, gullible people believe in this tosh, not having any discernment whatsoever.
Yesterday, Intuitive Machines published the first IM-1 images capturing our home as our lander drifted away towards the moon.
Gotta say, mate, your Earth, your globe Earth there is looking a bit squidgy and egg-like.
These images are only a few of what our Nova C-class lunar lander actually sent to Houston. It takes a lot of planning, work,
Ridiculous.
and a little bit of luck to get images like these. Payload integration managers programmed the lander's wide and narrow field of view cameras to take 5 quick images every 5 minutes for 2 hours, starting 100 seconds after separating from SpaceX's second stage. So, what we actually got back to Earth looks something like this. Out of all these images, the ones we chose to show humanity...
Epileptic tosh, where you show something that is impossible, the globe Earth, and flash it at us, and then claim a result. Yeah, great.
place in the universe came down to 4 wondrous images that we hope inspire the next generation.
No, she was.
insane. And the fact they get away with this is just fantastic nowadays. It's an amazing thing about the world.
After a few days, the first images and videos allegedly being sent back from the moon reached NASA, and the following footage is what they released to the public. Many of you can tell just by looking that this is not genuine and is clearly CGI, but many others will swear until they are blue in the face that this is authentic footage. The reality is, though, that it is easily proven to be fake, doctored footage with just a little knowledge of video editing software. By adjusting the brightness and contrast levels, and gradually removing the hues that comprise black from the background, small square artifacts begin to appear around the objects in the video. As you can see, the Earth, Moon, and craft all have these markings, which are only present in doctored footage. In real, genuine, authentic footage, without any manipulation or editing, these artifacts will not appear anywhere, no matter how you adjust the hues, brightness, or contrast. This is a clear smoking gun against NASA, but not the first time they have been exposed for the same trick. The many Earthrise images NASA has released since the Apollo times up to present day have been analyzed and criticized for the exact same kind of fakery. Unfortunately, this important information continues to be swept under the conspiracy theory carpet by the manipulated masses, while charlatan organizations like NASA receive endless amounts of undue praise and tax money.
Moving forward, intuitive machines.
You literally have to be a risk taker to believe in the globe and space at this point in time. And when I say space, they claim these rockets and space stations are in a vacuum, okay? They claim that they've left the air pressure system of Earth and gone to this place of a vacuum. For that to be real and happening, these rockets and spacecraft would have needed to gone through a solid wall. The solid wall would need to be there to separate the air pressure system from the vacuum of so-called space. Fact, not an opinion, a scientific fact, one that proves this is just a silly charade anyway. Then they show you the globe, you know is tosh. You just look at the anyway, it's just regurgitated tosh, and then what they actually show you is like an epileptic nightmare.
Omni-heat infinity technology.
Yeah, whatever. By now, you should have cameras set up on the moon, filming 24/7, all over the moon. Of course, no one's been to the moon, and the Earth's not a ball. Fact. That's why we have to entertain regurgitated tosh, like what we just experienced here.
Several days later.
Tonight, history is made in Space City.
Nearly 55 years after Neil Armstrong took the first steps on the moon, a Houston company called Intuitive Machines has put a lander on the lunar surface.
Now to a historic moment in the making. It just happened within the last 30 minutes. A private company landed the first U.S. spacecraft on the moon in over 50 years.
What we can confirm, without a doubt, is our equipment is on the surface of the moon, and we are transmitting. So, congratulations, IM team. We'll see how much more we can get from that.
The craft's rangefinders weren't working. Odysseus, or Odie as it's been nicknamed, used its experimental LiDAR navigation, which allows it to land autonomously, without communication from Earth. The time came and went, and the team on Earth still hadn't made communication with the craft. Minutes later, a faint signal from Odie was detected, and the crew on Earth was able to confirm it had made it.
What an outstanding effort. I know this was a nail biter, but we are on the surface, and we are transmitting, and welcome to the moon.
Right, so this mission is bringing a few NASA instruments down to the moon. if you're not coming down exactly the way you plan, if you're tilted one way or the other a little bit, if your antennas are pointed off just a little bit, then the communication signal is going to miss the Earth by many miles. So it took a minute for them to reestablish communications, but they did, and they showed that they landed successfully, and it was transmitting data. So that was great to see.
More than a half century.
Go to hell, whoever you are.
A 250,000-mile voyage. A voyage along the great cosmic bridge.
4, 3.
You notice how it adds the effect the cameraman shakes the camera for some reason. You know, there would be no reason to shake the camera, and it's just for dazzling you. That's what it's for.
2, 1, ignition, and liftoff. Go SpaceX, go IM-1 and the Odysseus lunar lander.
From the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center to the target of the south pole of the moon, a commercial lander named Odysseus, powered by a company called Intuitive Machines, launched upon a SpaceX rocket carrying a bounty of NASA scientific instruments and bearing the dream of a new adventure in science, innovation, and American leadership in space. Well, all of that aced the landing of a lifetime.
And that, my friends, is propaganda and product placement. Touting all of these companies because they're the contractors getting a portion of the over $400 billion a year that is being stolen from every taxpayer. And that's the truth, because it's a lie. This is a photograph that's been put all over the world in the last few days. Every news outlet is publishing this photograph, and they are alleging that this is a real photograph taken from this spaceship. But it's impossible. And the reason why it's impossible is because this is Australia, and it's too big. Even if this was a fisheye lens, what's visible on one half of Earth from that distance would still be proportionate. It might be a little morphed somehow, but you would see the other land masses. Let's look at a picture of Australia. And of course, you can't find an actual picture of the globe because it's not real, but you can see how small it is, you know, proportionate to the Earth, of the globe, of what they even lead us to believe. It's, you know, a lot smaller there. Well, it's a lot smaller. I mean, even the CGI pictures that we get are different sizes. I mean, it's always a different size, I guess, because they're not real. But let's take this in Photoshop.
And it is an incredible shot. But something's not quite right, is it? Australia seems to have expanded a massive amount on this globe Earth. Struggling to see any of the bits of landmass. And that's what I thought, because when I get Google Earth up and I sort of align Australia with the Intuitive Machine shot here, and you can see there's an obvious problem. Not only has Australia expanded massively, but you can't see any of the other bits of landmass around. Yeah, very strange. I'm sure some globe fantasists will come up with some delusional excuse.
Put the exposure up, because there should be stars back in this field of view. There should be never-ending stars, which really, you know, they say that the exposure gets set so you can't see the stars in the picture, and that's why it's always black. That's why they never show stars in any footage, obviously because if the stars were there, person with any background of astronomy, they could calculate where that is and if it's even real. So that's why they can't do it, because they're faking it. But there should be stars in this background, so when you overexpose it, it should bring in that light, right? So let's put the exposure all the way up and look at that. Perfectly black, because this is a CGI image. It's a cartoon, okay? So one more proof that it's a faked photo. And they are claiming that this is an actual photograph taken from this spaceship. Okay.
It's a much easier place to launch deeper into the solar system.
How does people live with themselves? Like, what are they actually doing, right? You think about, what are these actual people doing here? Look at this BS. Do you think really this is a joke? It's an absolute joke. Tinfoil, cardboard. They're using the same cardboard here. Look at this, folks. Let me see if I can blow this up. Looks like cardboard here, right? Tinfoil, tubes from Home Depot. Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a second.
It really is the launching pad into human exploration out into deep space.
Yes, we're willing to blow down.
So here we go again. More fake space moon landing brainwashing propaganda going on here. Okay, I have to say this. NASA is a criminal organization, just like the banksters, the pharmaceutical companies, the weapons industries, right? They're all there to take your money, right? This has nothing to do with space exploration, folks. It has nothing to do with space. It's all about taking your money. This is, I don't know what you call a Ponzi scheme or a money laundering, right, scheme. That's all it is. That's what NASA is, right? Sometimes they show you these images of, planets and everything, but really they're taking your money. That's all there is. And brainwashing your kids.
Is the first business to land a private spacecraft on the moon, but it wasn't all smooth sailing.
And we'll stand by and monitor as Nova Controls continues to work.
All they're doing here is taking your money and filtering out and giving to these private organizations, right? It's a criminal organization, folks. You shouldn't be, don't think NASA is your friend. They're your enemy.
I was expecting, and I was told by the intuitive machines, that they'd be taking pictures all the way in. Didn't get anything. Just a bunch of bored blokes who've just had something confirmed to them via some numbers. But no footage whatsoever. No imagery. Nothing. This is a joke, ladies and gentlemen. This is how ridiculous space has got. If you don't call this out, they are going to continue pushing this nonsense.
The vehicle is stable near or at our intended landing site. We do have communications with the lander. We think we came down with, like I said, about 6 miles an hour this way and about 2 miles an hour this way, and caught a foot in the surface, and the lander has tipped like this. And we believe this is the orientation of the lander on the moon.
That's a funny way to put it.
Yeah. The vehicle is stable near or at our intended landing site. We do have communications with the lander. We think we came down with, like I said, about 6 miles an hour this way, and we believe this is the orientation of the lander. Well, hello everybody. This is the first briefing about being on the surface of the moon for the first time in about 52 years in this room. This is a photo that I thought you'd find interesting that we'll release to the public here. Here we're flying about 10 kilometers over the surface of Schamberger Crater near the South Pole region of the moon. We're still about 200 kilometers uprange from where our intended landing site is. We think we came down, and we believe this is the orientation of the lander on the moon. And we are collecting science, and we've collected science along the way.
I got a bad feeling about this.
This is the X direction, and the tanks were reading gravity on the moon.
If you believe this stuff, you're really, literally too stupid to insult. Thank you.
Look what they're showing on the screen. They're saying that that's some new images coming in. So they just show you like a gray landscape with some grainy little divots in it. Those are supposed to be craters. And then they just point to a dot, and they're like, look at this dot. That's proof that it's there. And then what's the source? The source is NASA. Who took that photo? Where did that come from? So whenever you see one of these photos of anything supposedly man-made on the moon, leftover lunar equipment from any of the past missions, anytime you see any supposed pictures of that, the source is always NASA, the same guys who lied about it to begin with. And it comes from supposedly a satellite that they supposedly have orbiting the moon. They'll point to a dot and be like, that's the flag. That's the leftover lunar module base from the 1969 mission. See the dot? It comes from NASA, the same guys who lied about it to begin with. So these shots are always ridiculous, in my opinion, and they don't prove anything.
Whether communications are happening.
Look at this. What's with the fisheye lens? You know what I'm saying? Look at these images that they're giving us. Why do you have to use such a terrible fisheye lens like that? Why would you send a ship to the moon to land there and not have the absolute best camera equipment? So you're telling me that's what you're going to film with? That's what you're going to take pictures with, is some fisheye crap? And then you're going to just point like at the ground, and you're going to have your part of the body of the ship in the shot, like it's like taking a bit of a selfie. Come on, man. Oh, yeah, well, that's as good as they can get now in 2024. That's as good as they can get, man. That's the best that they got. That's the best that your money and my money can buy, right? The money that they steal from us, that's the best that they can do with it. You just have to believe that that's good enough.
Several days later.
I have a few very fascinating images for you that I can talk through now if you look up at the teleprompter. This is a picture of Odie on the surface of the moon, touching down with its engine firing. You see here the landing gear pieces broken off there on the left of the image. The landing gear did what it was supposed to do and protect the lander as it landed on the surface. Engine plume interaction with the surface gives us this excellent view of how the ejecta, the regolith, moves away from the plume interaction. So I'm really proud of that. Next picture. This picture shows the fisheye's kind of view of and all of the data that's within how we're able to give you the images we have. And here we are, how Odie conducted the brilliant 6-day mission on the surface. You see the gold foil blanket is the helium tank. You see that we're tilted over slightly, still more upright than we initially thought. And we believe this is the orientation of the lander. You see that we're tilted over slightly, still more upright than we initially thought. This is the orientation of the lander on the moon.
The landing gear failed. You bigged it up and said it worked, it snapped, it failed. So you're even having to deviate from the original storyline to justify this silly pantomime and silly sci-fi charade to yourself and others. It's ridiculous, mate. It's embarrassing. Even mainstream believers at work are laughing at how ridiculous this is. What an embarrassment, this so-called moon landing from NASA and Intuitive Machines. Same company anyway. But the embarrassment continues. Look. And this image isn't proof of anything, mate, is it? Other than the gullibility and the naivety of people like you who actually believe this.
This can be cropped in and layered over the top of anything. So whenever I see anything like this where there's some hunky piece of space, like equipment from the rocket or whatever, blocking half the shot, like, let's take a picture, but make sure to block a third or a half of the shot with our own equipment. Yeah, you can't have a clear shot of anything. Make sure to have your own equipment blocking every damn shot. It's just so stupid.
There's scientific information in that data right there.
Oh, there's scientific information in this image that can't be tested and verified by anyone. Nah, mate. Nah. There's a storyline attached to this image to get nerds like you salivating over silliness. They're giving you a storyline because they can't give you any imagery now. Not anything of any quality because they know they get exposed. All they're left with is a silly storyline and terrible imagery. The storyline gives them an excuse for the terrible imagery.
Going to give you an estimate of how much data we've actually brought down.
Again, claiming that he's got data from this image. Again, if he gets a signal or whatever that supposedly comes from the moon, who's testing and verifying that? No one. How's this beneficial to anyone, these images in this storyline? It's not, is it? How was the original moon landing beneficial to anyone? It wasn't, was it? And you only got to look at Buzz Aldrin in recent years. He tells you they didn't go. He spells it out for you.
Would each of you give us your estimate of what is the meaning of this to all of us?
You want to try that? After you.
Today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you, we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers. One of truth's protective layers. There are places to go beyond belief. Those challenges are yours. In many fields, not the least of which is space, because there lies human destiny.
You sometimes seem uncomfortable with your celebrity, that you'd rather not have all of this attention.
No, I just don't deserve it. No, I just don't deserve it.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest? It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Circuit breaker.
Well, let's talk about this, because this is fascinating. I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does, I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No, you didn't.
What?
Because
There wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
There wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
See, you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about, you know, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It was
and
exciting.
A few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah. This was
not a bad line. Yeah.
So I'm really proud of that. Next picture. This picture shows the fisheye.
Oh, this is incredible stuff. Incredible. Oh, data-rich image here. Unbelievable. The mockery from these guys is off the charts. America should be enraged, going crazy by this stuff. By how unconvincing, how unhelpful, how boring, how expensive, how predictable. And the fact they're claiming this is a private company, but it's funded by NASA. So it's just lies from pantomime artists, NASA, desperately trying to save this space globe charade. It's dying, folks. It's dying. I think they're doing it on purpose as well. I think it's done slowly here, just to break people in slowly, progressively. Otherwise, these mainstream believers, if they were just told outright, a lot of them would just lose the plot overnight. Walking the streets, just talking gibberish to themselves. Bless them.
It landed upright. We captured data, and then we tilted over.
You captured data? No, you sent back images that are ridiculous, mate, and then you're claiming you've got data from that and that you know what's going on. When really, this is just pathetic. That's the latest breaking, hot off the press news, stroke imagery, stroke storyline, stroke pantomime from NASA. And it's embarrassing. But it's obvious that they're basically shutting this charade down now. And they've done so in an embarrassing fashion. I suspect there'll be a little bit more storyline to come. Oh, the battery found a bit of energy. We took some more images of some dirt with this GoPro, which will satisfy the nerds. But like I said, even people at work now are starting to question this and laughing at this. And as a result of this, questioning the bigger picture, which is great. But this has been cited as a huge success, yet it's embarrassing.
Let's see. Any proof of this thing landing on the moon? No, not yet. Not yet.
And the future of the first American spacecraft to land on the moon in more than 50 years is coming to an abrupt end. CTV's Garrett Barry on why the multi-million-dollar failure is still being considered a success.
Engineers in Houston are racing against time tonight to get more data off of the moon before their transmissions go quiet. Their lunar lander Odysseus is dying. In fact, it may already be dead, doomed by a flubbed landing that put the spacecraft on its side.
Caught a foot in the surface, and the lander has tipped like this. And we believe this is the orientation of the lander on the moon.
Solar panels are pointed in the wrong direction, and so are the antennas, which makes transmission even slower. Earlier today, Intuitive Machines, the company that spent $100 million to build the lander, estimated there were only a few hours left before Odie's battery is depleted. The mission has captured and transmitted these images taken while Odysseus was still in flight, approximately 30 meters above the moon's surface.
The real take-home message with any space mission is it's about the journey. It's about those failures. It's about the successes. It's about the whole trajectory. And we're all making our way into the future together. And I think if you're not at least celebrating part of it, I think you might be missing the point.
Hey, man.
I know guys on crack that makes more sense than you.
Really? The update is that it fell over on its side and it has hours left to survive. That's right, guys. I know it's very sad news. But the Odysseus lunar lander is going to be dying very soon. It's very heartbreaking and sad. Try to hold back your tears while we watch the news report. Over $100 million of taxpayer money to send a phone booth-sized ship to the moon for it to fall over and die within like a day of being there. Ah! Roo, 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 roo. How come everybody was so damn happy if the damn thing fell over and only had a day to survive? Oh, it's still worth celebrating. It's still a monumental achievement. It's still just something that we should root over, of course, even though it fell over and is going to die.